Hello, my name is Ann Ellis, and I'm 81 years old, and I was born in San Antonio, Texas in 1935. Everybody probably in your class has heard about the Great Depression of the 1930s. And when my mother was 8 months pregnant with me, my father, Barton Atchison, who was an architect, was approached by his boss and said, "I'm sorry, Barton, but I need $1,200 from you." Now, to give you some perspective, $1,200 would have bought a house at that time. A very small house, but a house. So it was a huge amount. And even though my father was a contractor and drew the plans and did all of that kind of thing, was working full out, they were going to lay him off. And he tried everywhere to borrow it, from relatives, from friends, from neighbors. No luck. So he hit upon one of the saddest consequences for us, so that the depression was not just bad, it was catastrophic for my family. I had an older brother at that time who was 3.5 years old. And as I had said before, my mother was 8 months pregnant with me. My father determined that if he drove the one thing of value in our family, the family car, a used one, in front of the local railway train and let the train hit him and kill him, that the railway company could be sued and they would provide for his widow, his little boy, and his soon-to-be young daughter. Well, it didn't work out like that because he left a suicide note. And it was an old hunting expression in Texas. He said something like, "It's time to piss on the fire and call the dogs." And so that's one of my continuing memories about that time, even though that part was told to me. What was important was that we were living in a barrio called La Luna in San Antonio, which was Moon Street for us, and the community rallied around. My mother simply fell apart, slashed her wrists, had to be recovered. They weren't sure whether to deliver me early. It was just simply awful, and the entire community rallied around. When Mother recovered, brought me, newly born, home, they kept us fed and her cared for probably about 6 months. They fed us on watermelon and goat's milk, is the story that I get from the people we still know from that era. And finally, the courts simply took us away. They knew that Mother could not maintain a life for her children, and we were in danger. So they put us in the Protestant orphans' home. My brother and I bonded very, very deeply during that time. Mother, on the other hand, was fighting hand over fist to get well, to get employment, and to get somebody to marry us. That was her mission in life. And so she went to work at a bank, and there was a banker there at a very low level, just a banking clerk. And that was my father, the one that I called Daddy for the next 50 years. And he was a very kind man, very shy. His name was Dub Ellison, and he made the difference in our lives and kept the family together. My mother was never okay during her entire life. She was shaky. She was alcohol and drug dependent. Drug being what we call amphetamines, and speed in these days were diet pills and uppers and downers and that kind of thing. So one of the outcomes of that for me was that I became very, very watchful, and I could read body language as soon as I came in the door from school. Those are not bad skills to have. It's just sad that I had to acquire them in that way. And I think that's about all we have time for.